Hello, all you awesome people, and welcome back to Jimmy Talks. If you've ever felt drained, undervalued, or even disrespected at work, you're not alone. Work is supposed to be a place where we contribute, grow, and find purpose, but for many, it feels like a battleground. Today, we're diving deep into why so many workplaces have become toxic environments, exploring the causes, the impact on employees, and what can be done about it. Let's get started. First, let's define what makes a job toxic. A toxic workplace isn't just about having a tough day or a demanding boss. It's a consistent environment where employees feel undermined, stressed, or unsafe, either emotionally or physically. This could stem from poor management, unrealistic expectations, lack of respect, or even outright hostility. According to a 2023 study by the American Psychological Association, 59% of workers reported experiencing negative impacts from workplace stress, with many citing toxic cultures as a primary cause. Toxic workplaces often share common traits: poor communication, favoritism, excessive workloads, and a lack of accountability. For example, imagine a workplace where managers dismiss employees' concerns, where promotions are given based on personal connections rather than merit, or where deadlines are so unrealistic that burnout is inevitable. These aren't isolated incidents, they're patterns that erode trust and morale over time. Let's talk about poor leadership, which, in my experience, tends to be the root cause a lot of the time. One of the biggest contributors to toxic workplaces is poor leadership. Leaders set the tone for the entire organization, and when they fail to lead effectively, the consequences ripple outwards. Ineffective managers might micromanage, fail to provide clear direction, or ignore employee feedback. Worse, some leaders actively foster toxicity by pitting employees against each other or creating a culture of fear. A 2022 Gallup study found that 70% of employee engagement is tied to the quality of management. When leaders lack empathy or prioritize profits over people, employees feel like cogs in a machine rather than valued contributors. For instance, a manager who demands constant overtime without acknowledging the toll it takes sends a clear message: your well being doesn't matter. Over time, this breeds resentment and disengagement. Poor leadership also manifests in a lack of accountability. In toxic workplaces, managers might overlook bad behavior from certain employees, especially high performers, while others are unfairly scrutinized. This double standard erodes trust and creates a sense of injustice. Employees begin to feel that no matter how hard they work, the system is rigged against them. Another major factor in workplace toxicity is the pressure of unrealistic expectations. In today's fast paced world, many companies push employees to do more with less. Budget cuts, understaffing, and aggressive deadlines means workers are often stretched beyond their limits. The World Health Organization estimates that overwork contributes to 745,000 deaths annually from heart disease and stroke, highlighting the physical toll of relentless workplace demands. Burnout, which is a state of chronic physical and emotional exhaustion, is a direct result of these pressures. Employees experiencing burnout often feel detached from their work, cynical about their organization, and overwhelmed by even small tasks. Yet, in toxic workplaces, burnout is rarely addressed. Instead, employees are told to push through or be a team player, which only deepens their sense of isolation. Consider this scenario: an employee is juggling multiple projects with tight deadlines, but their manager keeps adding new tasks without adjusting priorities. When the employee raises concerns, they're met with dismissive comments like, "This is just how it is," or "This lack of support here, it just not only feels burnout, but also makes employees feel invisible." Respect and recognition are fundamental to a healthy workplace, but in toxic environments, they're often in short supply. Employees who feel undervalued are less likely to stay engaged or motivated. A 2024 survey by WorkHuman found that 46% of employees felt unrecognized for their contributions, and this lack of appreciation was a key reason for seeking new jobs. Toxic workplaces often fail to celebrate achievements or provide constructive feedback. Instead, employees might face constant criticism or have their accomplishments overlooked. This creates a culture where people feel like their efforts don't matter. For example, an employee who works late to meet a deadline might receive no acknowledgement, while a minor mistake is magnified and publicly called out. Over time, this imbalance chips away at self esteem and morale. Respect also extends to how employees are treated day to day. In toxic workplaces, bullying, gossip, or passive aggressive behavior can become normalized. Managers or coworkers might make belittling comments, exclude certain team members, or undermine others at work. These behaviors create a hostile environment where employees dread coming to work. Communication also is the backbone of any successful organization, but in toxic workplaces, it's often non existent or dysfunctional. Employees might be left in the dark about company decisions, unclear about their roles, or excluded from important discussions. This lack of transparency breeds mistrust and fuels rumors, as workers struggle to understand what's going on around them. Poor communication also shows up in how feedback is handled. In healthy workplaces, feedback is a two-way street. Employees feel safe sharing concerns and managers listen. In toxic environments, feedback is either ignored or met with defensiveness. Employees who speak up might be labeled as difficult or not a team player, discouraging open dialogue. A lack of transparency can also hide unethical practices. For instance, if a company conceals financial troubles or misleads employees about job security, it creates an atmosphere of uncertainty. Workers feel like they're navigating a minefield, never knowing when the next crisis will hit. The effects of a toxic workplace extend far beyond the office. Chronic stress can lead to physical health problems like insomnia, headaches, or high blood pressure. Mentally, employees may experience anxiety, depression, or a loss of self confidence. A 2023 study by Mental Health America found that 81% of workers reported that workplace stress affected their mental health, with many citing toxic cultures as a primary trigger. Toxic workplaces also harm personal relationships. Employees who are drained from work may have little energy left for family or friends. They might withdraw socially, struggle with irritability, or feel disconnected from their loved ones. Over time, this can strain marriages, parent child relationships, and friendships. Financially, toxic jobs can trap employees in a difficult position. Many stay in harmful environments because they need the income and they fear they can't find another job. This creates a cycle of misery where workers feel stuck with no way out. Even when they leave, the emotional scars of a toxic workplace can linger, making it harder to trust future employers. So, why do toxic workplaces continue to thrive? One reason is that toxicity is often normalized. Employees are told to tough it out or that stress is just a part of the job. This mindset prevents organizations from addressing root causes. Additionally, some companies prioritize short-term profits over long-term employee well-being. Cutting corners on staffing or resources might save money up front, but it creates a culture of overwork and resentment. Another factor is the reluctance to hold toxic individuals accountable. High-performing employees or senior leaders who contribute to a negative culture are often protected because of their value to the company. This sends a message that bad behavior is tolerated as long as you deliver results. Finally, employees themselves may inadvertently perpetuate toxicity. Fear of retaliation or job loss can keep workers silent about issues, allowing problems to fester. Without collective action or a willingness to speak up, toxic cultures remain unchallenged. So, what can be done? Addressing workplace toxicity, honestly, it requires effort from both employees and employers. For employees, setting boundaries is a crucial first step. This might mean saying no to unreasonable demands, seeking support from HR, or documenting instances of mistreatment. Building a support network, whether through coworkers, mentors, or professional groups, can also provide strength and perspective. However, employees can only do so much. Real change starts at the organizational level. Companies must prioritize well-being by fostering open communication, offering mental health resources, and training managers to lead with empathy. Regular employee surveys can help identify issues early, but only if leadership acts on the feedback. Holding toxic individuals accountable is also essential. No one, regardless of their position, should be exempt from consequences for harmful behavior. Companies should establish clear policies on respect and enforce them consistently. Finally, organizations need to rethink success. A workplace that values employee health and happiness is more likely to retain talent and achieve long-term goals. Investing in fair workloads, recognition programs, and transparent communication isn't just good for employees, it's good for business. As we wrap up, let's reflect on what we've covered. Toxic workplaces are fueled by a couple different things: poor leadership, unrealistic expectations, lack of respect, and dysfunctional communication. The impact on employees is profound, affecting their health, relationships, and sense of self. Yet, toxicity persists because it's often normalized or ignored. If you're in a toxic workplace, just know that you're not alone, and you deserve better. Start by advocating for yourself, whether that's seeking support, setting boundaries, or exploring new opportunities. If you're a leader, take a hard look at your organization. Are you fostering a culture of respect and trust? If not, it's time to start making changes. The issue isn't just about individual workplaces, it's about how we as a society view work. We need to challenge the idea that suffering is a normal part of having a job. Work should be a place where we thrive, not just survive. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into why so many jobs are genuinely toxic. If this video resonated with you, please share it with others who might need to hear this message. Let's start a conversation about building healthier workplaces. Until next time, take care and keep advocating for the respect you deserve. Stay true to yourself. Jimmy Talks out.